Bernice Kiefer Nagel, right? From Emmons County. You were born in Emmons County. And your dad's name was?
Peter.
I guess it would be Nagel, right? And your mother's name?
No,
Kiefer.
Amelia.
E or A?
A.
A-M.
E-L-I-A.
Okay. And she was,
Son.
and then your dad's
Uh,
parents?
Or Valentine.
Valentine?
And Catherine was her name.
With a K or C?
K. Yeah, see, the Germans, any name that should start with a C, start with a K, because the K, you know, German is a K.
I think you're right, because so far all the Catherines have been with a K, so you wouldn't happen to know what Catherine's maiden name was.
Heitzman. That I don't know how to spell, but I know
Then
it was
your
Heitzman.
mother's, maybe we can
Was
find that
Constant-
somewhere.
Connie, I mean, we call it Constantine, and Marion.
Connie, and M-A-R-I-O-N.
Richter.
Okay, she's a Richter. I knew some Richters. And then they were Zons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, see, I got it right that time. Where were you born?
You know, being Hague, rural here, you know.
At the farmhouse?
Uh-huh.
With a midwife or not a midwife?
I guess, according to them, it was a midwife that had come, you know, and stuff like that. It actually was a neighbor. And I mean, and I just met her about a month ago. Yeah.
The woman who delivered you, really?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
How cool is that?
Well, this is it. See, her daughter and I, they filled in for playing cards. And she said, sure, you live to, you know, across from mom and dad, you know. I said, you know. No, she says, Mom grew up across from, you know, and stuff like that. And her mother lives up here. She says, I'm just going to have to bring her, because she keeps saying, you know, she helped deliver. She had to come in, even though there's quite a few in the family, but she had come over. And I mean, and I could see, you know, there's more dignity having somebody come in instead of a family member doing it.
How important was it, do you remember, that you produced or grew or butchered and, you know, created your own food?
That was pretty important. I mean, our garden was huge and stuff like that. Butchered chickens, like, we butchered them in the morning and we had them at supper time, you know.
Did you butcher yours like all in one day, or did you butcher them as you ate them?
Butchered as we ate them, because we didn't have a freezer or electricity at the time.
Oh, you didn't have electricity. So tell me, how does one heat water to butcher chickens if you don't have electricity?
Kerosene stove.
Okay. And is that how you did your cooking also?
And then the baking, like I said, the baking was done with wood. We put wood chips in. Yeah, that was my job, the baking. She had like an hourglass, and when it got down to so far, I had to put the wood in the stove and stuff like that, so it stayed even, the temperature would stay even. And then I'd take it out and start it again for the next. She usually made 11 loaves.
And what day of the week?
Mondays.
And
Mondays and Thursdays, you could say. Mondays and Thursdays.
Was there wash day then on
Mondays.
Monday also? Do you have any idea why they did washing and baking on Mondays?
The washing, I presume, you know, because they had their Sunday clothes, so that they have them ready in case there was a funeral or something, because they only had one set of dress clothes. Didn't have no 4 or 5 outfits in the closet and 5 more they could pick from.
There wouldn't be closets big enough if you had 11 kids in the family, right?
Right.
So then how about, like, without running, you didn't have running water in the house either?
Mm-hmm.
So where did you get your water from?
From the well, and, you know, had a big boiler, I guess is what they call it, and you dumped the water in there and heated it, and that's how you took it out and put it in the washing machine.
So there weren't very many baths then during the week, right?
Unless, like I said, during harvest time. Then, I mean, then we'd get the water. The creek where I lived, the creek wasn't very far, because that's our nickname, kind of say Crickerers. We were from the creek, you know, that because the creek ran right by the...
So did you use water from the creek to water your garden by any chance?
Very seldom.
Well, you didn't water your garden?
Yeah, oh yeah. But see, the thing was, we had barrels setting up, so when it rained, you know, that's where the water got put, you know, and
Whose, whose job was it to plant and weed the garden?
everybody's. We all had help.
And what were some of the crops that you grew in the garden?
You name it. Zucchini was the only one that I can remember that we had. And I wished we would have, but yet, you know, I did one after I was married. I had zucchini.
So did you can or do anything? How did you, you could eat during the summer, but what did you eat vegetable-wise during the winter, and how did you do that?
What we did, Mom saw to it that there was 100 jars of vegetables of every kind that we had. That's 100 jars, you know,
And where were those stored?
in a root cellar.
And did you have that like near the house or under the house? Did you have like a basement in your house or no?
It was just a separate thing, you know, that was dug, and that's where you kept your potatoes, your vegetables, and they stayed all year.
So vegetables besides potatoes that you were able to store, can you tell us what those were?
The carrots got put almost like with the dirt in the root cellar. Yeah. But the onions, well, they were hung up to dry, and then when it got too cold to be out in you could say in the summer kitchen, well, brought them in and put them in the cellar. They kept there till.
What summer kitchen? Can you tell me what that was?
It was just another place where you could cook. In our place, we also had what we called the separator, where we separated the milk from the cream and stuff like that. But it was just a shed, you could call it. It had a window, and the stove was in there, like the kerosene stove, and that's where you cooked the meals. You didn't eat in there, but you brought the food into the kitchen. I mean, and let that get hot instead of many windows in there, you know, because they knew in the winter it got too cold with windows. So, you know, there was no such a thing as air circulating from one.
So is your farmstead still there in the farmhouse and everything?
No, When the folks moved to town, my sister and her husband bought the place. And then as they went along, they cleared off the buildings and stuff like that, you know. But yeah.
So how many bedrooms did you have in your house? I mean, was there a bedroom for...
Well, see, the thing is, by the time those little guys came along, the big guys were gone.
Okay.
Yeah. There was 3 bedrooms, you know.
So it was like 18, you're out the door?
Well, see, my 3 older brothers were all 3 in the service at the same time.
Okay.
See, and then, well, there was 5 of us girls. And then the 3 other guys, I know, see, when Val left for service, or he would have had to leave, but they let him stay home until Mom had Joe. See, so the 3 younger ones weren't even there, and he was born, everything was all right. So he, you know, and the other 2 were gone already, you know, even though they weren't of age, but I guess you could help the neighbor, you could do this, you could that, stuff like that. That's what they did. And I mean, all 3 of them were in the service at the same time.
So did you have a favorite vegetable growing up? Something that you really liked that your mom grew in the garden?
Oh, I guess we had no choice. We ate them all, and we liked them. Well, we take the carrots, like I said, we'd take the carrots and we'd rub them on our pants and eat the carrot, and we'd go and we'd tell her we took carrots already, you know. And the peas, well, I think there's still kids out there that do open up the peas and eat the, you know. Same thing with tomatoes. We'd look, you know, because you had to clean them. You'd look and see how many are going to be ripe, you know. So just, like I said, we weren't fussy with any as far as.
And then you did water bath canning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was just like, just as the vegetables came in, she did that, so she might have done that every day in the fall?
We did. In the fall. It started from, you could say, June 1st until end of September. The corn. I mean, I know the corn was always ready by the 15th of August. Because I know, like I said, Hague had their church feast, and we couldn't wait for them to go to that because we knew we could go out the field and get the corn and check it.
So isn't there, you went to that beautiful church in Hague? Isn't there like a beautiful church?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, Hague has one. Strasbourg's is prettier, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I've ever been in one in Strasbourg. So is that where you went to church in Strasbourg? You went in Hague?
Nope.
Nope.
We had a little church out there by us. St. Aloysius was our church and stuff like that.
So what was the fall festival that you had? What did you do for that? Just eat?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a nice gathering. Everybody came and cooked and stuff like that. How do you put it? A way of, well, I guess you found out how people cook different from one to the other, and stuff like that.
So were there dough foods there at all? Like dumplings or that kind of
No.
stuff? What kind of foods did you bring in? It was like a potluck, right?
No, see, they bought the chicken, or you could say it was chicken and sausage,
Okay.
and they fried the chicken and the sausage and stuff like that with coleslaw, tomatoes, whatever vegetables people brought, There were
Who made sausage around there? Anybody? Did they have everybody? I should have known that.
everybody. I mean, you just
So you butchered chickens and you ate them. Did you? There was no way you could store chickens at all, right?
can them,
Oh.
yeah.
So then, how about any types of pickled watermelon or sauerkraut? Did you do any of that stuff?
They got put in a crock, stuff like that, and then when they were ripe, stuff like that, they put them in the jar. And
Oh, so can you explain that? You pickled them in
a crock.
and then you put them in a jar?
Yeah.
Were they special watermelon? Were they those little?
Just any of them that were out.
You put them in their hole?
No, in a crock pot. It's called a crock.
Uh-huh.
Those stone crockeries.
Okay.
And stuff like that. So, I don't know how many weeks they had to sit there and stuff like that. No, they were sour enough. She took them and put them in the jar.
Did you do your pickles like that too?
Mm-hmm.
And what did you put? Can you tell us what you put over them for pickling? Do you remember?
I would say just a brine vinegar and salt, water, sugar. I remember the sugar being, because it was never taken out of the bag. It was always, that 10-pound bag of sugar was sitting there, And I said, oh, we had like in the house, we had it in, but I said out in the canning for canning. That's how it was.
So did you go to town and buy sugar and spices? And did you go to town like very often? Were you a long ways from town? Was your farm?
18 miles for us
Oh,
from
okay.
Linton and 12 to Strasbourg. But they usually, go to Linton, Mom would make a list for Dad if he had to go in and get parts and stuff like that, stop at the grocery store. Remember, this is what we need. But I said, come November 1st, I can't ever recall them going to town after that.
Do you remember it was lots of snow? Did it snow a lot back then?
And I remember things, we buried a lot of watermelon, especially. We buried in the wheat. They kept, for a long time,
That's kind of cool. How about eggs? Did you save eggs that way too?
Oh, the chickens, we had chickens, just gathered them.
So you had chickens all year round?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's kind of cool.
And then the older ones in the fall, we'd say the hens, again, they were canned. And I mean, they made some pretty good soup out of that. Same thing with beef, when they butchered the beef. You only butcher beef in the fall, so it stay frozen. But I mean, you canned a lot of beef.
So did you for your family butcher more than one cow at a time? Just one? And how about pigs or any
Pigs,
other
there'd
livestock?
usually be 3 of them.
Oh, really? They would butcher 3?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do that on the same day they did the beef, did they?
No,
That must have been like a whole day.
job. And half of the next,
Do you know how to? Do you remember how to do that? I mean,
I would be able to do it, yes, today.
so tell me, can you explain a little bit? I'm kind of curious about tell me what a typical day would be like. Nobody's told me this yet.
Okay.
Like, okay, tomorrow's pig butchering day. Do you do something today to get ready for tomorrow? And then
Yeah.
what happens?
Well, they'd get the barrels ready because at the time they would scald them, you could say, scald them, make hot water. But I mean, again, here's your boilers full of hot water, stuff like that. See, and they would, shoot the pig. I mean, a lot of them, they did catch them and stick them, stuff like that. And you'd hear them squeal for a long, long time, stuff like that. And I mean, they were right there. Next thing you did was, they got them, and put them in this barrel, and they had 3, 4, 5 guys turning them and turning them and turning them, and then they scrape the skin off, the hide off of the hide, the hair off of the pig, stuff like that, and then they'd hang them on a, I always called them one of our swing set. Well, I mean, we had the railroad ties is what we used for swings. Corner, yeah. See, and then they would tie the legs, you know, make a little slit in the one, and they would hang them up, and then they'd start on the other one, because you couldn't kind of mess with them until, you know, they weren't cold enough. You had to let them get cold. You know, they usually pick, like say, the week before Thanksgiving or the week before Christmas. That time, pretty cold. You know.
So then, did they have to leave them hang there like for hours or days? Or
No, just
just till they got cold enough to cut.
Cut, yeah. See,
and then how did you store that?
Well, like I said, sausage got canned. Well, again, our summer kitchen got used. They had rafters across from one side of the wall to the other, and you could hang the sausage over these rafters. It was cold enough. I mean, the temperature, once Thanksgiving came along, it stayed pretty cold. You know.
God, that's just fascinating.
See, and then the hams got put in a brine.
Did you smoke them first?
No, in the barrel.
Okay.
See, and then they'd put them, they'd keep all winter long in the, I mean, and then they'd be salted enough. Come spring, Easter time is when they would take them out, and they'd smoke them, and we'd hang them in the root cellar again, you know.
So this was like almost a whole year process going on here, huh? By the time you got one butchered and ate, and it'd be time to start over again.
Well, like I said, you got to remember there was enough kids there.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So then, what did you? Sauerkraut too. Did you do that in like big, huge crocks in the
Yeah.
the root cellar? Did you have to ever stamp it down? I heard stories of little kids going in the
No, we
crock
didn't have to do that. We had, she made like we always called it the stomper, you know. It was wooden. I mean, when you go to a butcher shop, you could see this, or even if you got a grinder of any kind, it's a mallet, I guess you could call it. It's wooden, and we just took your turn, you know. Did you do that? You know, but we had a sheet on the side of the thing to let us, when it was done, you know, who did it, you know, and stuff like that. So then the next one just had to put the name on there, you know, we did it at such and such a time. So we're pretty well, you know, organized that way.
So then what, did you eat sauerkraut with sausage or as a side dish or?
No, like I said, we'd have pork chops and we'd add the sauerkraut with them, spare ribs and sauerkraut, you know, or what they call it, knipfla, sauerkraut, and add the sausage with it. So there's different ways.
So what other dough foods did you make besides knipfla? Did you fry your knipfla? Boil them and then fry them?
Yep.
And then?
Yeah, whatever one added to, you know, that's what it.
And then other, like case knipfla, did you guys do that?
Yeah, that, and there's, just regular egg noodles, you know, had them, and then, let's see, the dumplings. See, there was a meal twice a week, dumplings, every time she baked.
How about fry bread when you had?
Fry bread, that was done mostly during the Lent, because you couldn't have any meat on Fridays. So that was a meal on Fridays, stuff like that, the fried bread.
Did you get fish on Fridays? And where did you get fish from?
We'd have a guy come around and he would sell the fish, you know. And again, it was a winter thing, and I'd buy a big box full, and the guy had the ice in there already, you know. So they kept a long time.
God, that's amazing. You didn't. Hey, so now, tell me about your brother.
Well, I said he was, like I said, when he was born, stuff like that. I had just started school, but I said he was born in January. Well, come summer, he was drinking regular milk and stuff like that. And he'd bring his bottle, and I'd go out and I'd milk right in that bottle, and give. Yeah, and if you wanted some more, I mean, he would just lay on the grass and he would drink it, stuff like that. If you wanted some more, I'd milk some more. The cow, I mean, was pretty teen, stuff like milk some more, stuff like that. You'd get up and go rinse out the bottle. I mean, I never used hot water when I rinsed it. I'd just go to the
Kind of
well.
like small grains did you grow on your farm?
Wheat, we had barley, we had corn, we had flax, oats, all of them.
And did you grind your own flour?
Sometimes she did. But after a while, we found out they could buy it, it was easier, and we'd store it in I said people call them garbage cans. That's where we had our flour in.
So how much flour did you get you must have went into stock up in the fall, right? And then when the roads closed in the winter, you're pretty much...
Yeah.
So how much flour did you guys go and
We
get?
usually get, 500 to 700 pounds.
Did you go to school at all in the winter months? Were you close to a school?
Not quite a mile.
And did you have to walk? Even in the wintertime, in the cold?
Even in the wintertime. And I froze my cheeks one time and stuff like that.
What did you wear to stay warm when you walked to school?
2 pairs of pants. That I remember. We had long johns, and then you had those brown stockings that you wore, stuff like that. Regular coat. We had scarves.
And how about lunch? Did you eat lunch at school?
Oh, we brought our lunch. We each had, I don't know if they remember these syrup cans. Syrup used to come. Those were our lunch buckets.
And what did you usually pack for lunch?
Well, she'd have, not a, you could say, put jelly on a sandwich and stuff, and stuff like that. And other times was just, if we had sausage, that we had sausage the night before, put sausage on there, or she'd make a meatloaf, and we'd have, meatloaf to put on there. Just chicken salad, egg salad.
How about sweets? Did you get sweets at all?
Oh, yeah, baking.
Like what? What's your
Cookie.
favorite cookie?
Cookies, anything, if there was cake but I mean, there's so many types of cookies, you name them, we had them. No,
Now, was there a special day that you did that kind of baking on? Or
no, it was, there was 5 girls. You do it on Monday, you do it on Tuesday, you do it on Wednesday. I mean, it was she didn't care what we made. When you were little, she helped you, make sure you did it right, and then after that, you're capable. It's your day, you do the cooking. Yeah, we all, that was just how it was. I mean,
sounds like a good deal to me. How about Sunday visiting? Did you guys do that?
Yeah, after church, I mean, wherever you could walk to, one of the neighbors, after church, you'd say, well, we'll go to their house at 2 o'clock. I mean, you did the dishes and stuff. Sundays was a free day for us. We had to be back home again by 5 because that's what chore time was on. So you go to walk to one of the neighbors. If you had a bicycle, that was easier. And I took the bicycle too. I'm going to take it home. I'm not going to, share. We didn't argue about it. That was just how it was done.
So you only had one bicycle for the 11 of you?
Well, see, you got to remember the older ones were gone already.
Well, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So what kind of chores did you have to do then? Did you have more than 1 cow or 2 cows? Or?
Oh, yes. We milked, 18, 20, 24 by hand.
How long did that take?
About an hour and a half. I remember now. There's how many to milk.
So what you're saying then is everybody was out there. From the time you could walk, you were out there working? Or?
My trouble was I had so much trouble with my teeth that I would go get the cows and nobody was up yet when I had the cows home. So I'd put them in and then I'd start milking and pretty soon I didn't get away from it anymore. I'd say it was about 5 when I started milking. Yeah.
Do you like that? Did you like that?
There wasn't anything I didn't like about the farm. No,
So for birthdays, was there anything special that you guys did for birthdays?
just made a cake and Grandpa come. The neighbor came, sit down, there's some cake and ice cream.
And how about Christmas? Was there something that you made at Christmas that you didn't make any other time of the year that was special?
A lot of Christmas cookies and candy, cutouts and stuff like that.
And Easter. Anything special for Easter?
Oh, there's Easter bread that we make, but it's still just a big dinner.
And what is Easter bread, for those of us who don't know?
It's a sweet bread. almost like I'd say you could make donuts out of it, or you could make, Long Johns, or you could,
Did it have? Did you do it with like nuts and candied
frosting.
fruit?
There's
Frosting.
frosting on them. You could say it's a sweet bread.
How about dyeing Easter eggs? Did you do that? Where did you go to decorating Christmas trees?
Did you tell me? Oh, yes,
what was the name of
that,
the grocery store? Do you remember?
Well, there was kind of a, how would you call it now? They would call it a 7-Eleven, or it's just, we had a little Midway store that was halfways from our place to Limpton. I mean, and it also had a little shop, welding shop, the guy. So you could get some ice cream there, little things that you need there. But the other one would be 12 miles. And they, Saturday nights in the summer months, Saturday nights is when they would go to town. You could go to a movie and they'd get their groceries, and
Except in the wintertime, right?
yeah. Well, the stores weren't open that late on Saturday nights.
So the things that you bought at the grocery store, those were probably the things that you didn't grow or make yourself, right?
Yeah,
like,
right.
give me an example.
Peanut butter, coffee, crackers, Band-Aids.
Oh yeah, I forgot about things like that. But no paper towels or anything like that, right?
No. No. Sarah Rokenbach had to do that job for Montgomery Ward.
Forgot about that. So did your family ever go on picnics?
No.
Or how about weddings? What was the tradition or culture around weddings in your family?
Be a morning wedding, usually 10 o'clock. And then they'd have a big meal at noon.
With what kinds of food?
Soup. That was soup. Would always have soup. And the fried chicken and the chopped beef, I guess they call it now. And then they danced in the afternoon. The dancing. Yeah. And then the big meal was at supper.
Bigger than the one at noon.
Mm-hmm.
And then after supper, people went
Dancing again.
Holy cow. How about wedding whiskey? Was that something your family...
Mm-hmm. The red eye,
Did your family make wine at all?
rhubarb wine.
Oh, nice. So what other... rhubarb was kind of a growing wild kind of thing, or...
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What other fruits did you guys have on the farm? Do you remember?
Plums. We had the plums, and then we had the crab apples. I don't know where they started from, but we had the crab apples.
Choke cherries?
Choke cherries, yeah.
Did you make jellies or anything from that stuff?
Mm-hmm. Even made some choke cherry syrup.
Over ice cream or
Pancakes, waffles,
fry bread?
French toast.
What did you eat your fry bread with? You have to tell me that. I forgot to ask you that. Your kichwa or...
We just ate them like that. Sometimes you put powdered sugar on it. We didn't go through all that trouble of making a taco out of it.
No, but we ate ours with prunes, like boiled prunes, dipped
cooked.
it in there,
Uh-huh.
kind of fruit soup, I guess is what you'd call it. That's the way we...
No, that's potato soup. She'd make potato soup or bean soup. That's how we. But we like.
Did you eat a lot of soups? That was a
Yeah.
a standard fare. So, was there any dish that you remember specifically making for a wedding? Was there like a certain kind of dish that you had to have at every wedding?
Coleslaw, potato salad. That was more or less for noon, and then in the evening meal consisted again of sausage and beef and chicken and mashed potatoes.
Oh my God. Was it expensive to have 2 meals with all those people? Holy cow.
See, the noon meal was basically just for family and say uncles and aunts, and then in the evening is when the neighbors would get invited and
Okay.
the kids and stuff like that.
So how about like things like root beer, or did you ever do that growing up?
No.
Make your own ice cream?
Oh yes, that was, a weekly. We'd hide the ice in the wintertime under straw and manure and stuff like that, so we had to have ice in the summer.
Where did you get the ice from?
The creek, see, it was frozen in the winter time, and we would chop big chunks out, and then we'd hide it.
You'd have to hide it in an awful lot of straw, wouldn't you, to keep it?
The 4th of July, after that, we knew we wouldn't have any more ice.
You had ice till the 4th of July just by hiding it in the straw. That's amazing to me.
Yeah.
So do you remember when you first got electricity?
53. I think it was 53.
And you were about how old?
I was an 8th grader.
Was that kind of a big deal for you guys?
Not really. We didn't make much of it. Let me see. I could figure that out.
Did you get refrigerator then or anything like that?
The first thing was the stove. We had got the stove before we got the refrigerator. And I said the stove got bought out of her money from her eggs and cream or her milk. And then right after that is when we got the refrigerator. Then the iron was the next thing we got.
That must have really changed your life. Holy cow, that's just incredible.
Yeah. I'd say 53.
Plumbing? Did you ever have indoor plumbing at the
Not
house?
on the farm. Not on the farm.
So you always had to carry water. Wow.
Well, Dad had just said he didn't think it was worth sticking the money into the house, because he had intentions of moving to town anyway, But I was long gone by the time they moved to town.
So what'd you do for drinking water?
Went to the well, pumped the water. First bucket got poured into that barrel to water, because it wasn't cold, because we didn't want the stuff right from the pipes. So if you wanted real cold water, you just pumped and pretty soon you had cold water.
You don't remember any stories from the Depression, do you? Like your parents ever talking about how did the people survive?
That they didn't talk too much about that. But I remember, like I said, when my brother left for the service, and he was gone a short time, and pretty soon here comes this package in the mail. And I was all excited because I got the mail. I mean, it was quite a ways to walk. And this box came home, and I was all excited, we got a package. And pretty soon the tears in Mom's eyes, what is wrong, Dad come in for dinner, and she had said Valentine's shoes came in. They didn't open up, but she knew that it was, the way the box was shaped and everything. Yeah, now when I look at it, yeah, it was a box. That shoes, or his high tops, I guess is what they were, came, the government had sent them back, after he went into the service. And then shoes, or that box, sat behind our cook stove until he returned from the service.
I was worried that he had died and they sent him back.
But it just said, they worked so hard that year so that he could, have these shoes, because they were constantly told the servicemen didn't have good shoes, and they were going to send him with a good pair of shoes. And here they send him back. That was the first time I saw the tears in my dad's eyes really running. You could see occasionally when things were tough, but that was hard. And not opening them. Every week when you cleaned, you moved them and stuff like that. But they didn't open them. I remember when all three of them were gone there and stuff like that, and he sat us girls down, and he said, it's not the way I wanted it to happen. Three of them in the service. You're three hungry men, He said, but I'll tell you what, girls, he said, you can pull a cow and you can bake a cake. Maybe not in the same day, but he said, we'll look at it. There's no such a thing as a girl's work or a boy's work. We'll work together. I thought that was pretty.
You had a really awesome dad.
Well, I thought.
So did you guys speak German at your house?
And I'm the only one out of 11 that kept the
they just quit talking, or?
No, see, they all just moved away and stuff like that. They all just started talking. But I was the only one,
Were you speaking English when you started school?
huh?
Was that hard?
No. He just told us, because the other kids, we knew from the other kids some of the words and stuff like that. And he just said, in school, you speak English. When you come home, you can talk German.
Cool. That's awesome. And then you went to church every Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
At St. Aloysius? Is that what you
Uh-huh,
said?
St.
That
Aloysius.
church isn't there anymore?
The church is still there, but it's closed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember when it burned down. That was hard because I was supposed to be confirmed. No, my sisters were supposed to be confirmed, and then they had to wait. And then Father said, whoever knows these questions and stuff like that, he said, can be confirmed, because he didn't know when the bishop would come again. My sisters weren't too happy because I got confirmed with them. I made my first Holy Communion, and then in the May, and then got confirmed in September, and that was just not what a little kid should be doing. But I didn't have anything else to do, so I studied the catechism.
That's great. That's great. So harvesting, did you guys have horses, do you remember, or on your farm, or did you have like a gasoline or diesel or whatever tractors?
A tractor. We had the tractor. I can remember when trashing time come, because I had to put the belt on the pulley, and they had to kind of tighten it and stuff like that, and I always forgot to twist it, so I got scolded because I'd bring it up there, but it was easier because the thing was heavy. It was easier for me to put it on straight than twist it. I'd always get scolded.
So did everybody help with harvest when it came time?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me you up at the crack of dawn and work all day long?
Yeah. 3 of them would get the bundles, put them on the hay wagon, as we called it. 2 of them would pitch them into the machine. And the other ones would watch so that everything was right,
Did you eat out in the field, or did you?
They'd always come in. They'd always
They'd
stop.
always come in. Okay.
Yeah. That was too hard to have, too many helpers to go home and...
So did you ever eat more than 3 times a day? Did you feed them extra? The guys ate extra meals during harvest at all?
At
or
harvest
anything?
time.
That would be the only time.
Yeah, from lunch until supper, because they worked until dark. 'Cause they didn't have lights on their tractors or anything like that.
Sure. Gotta make hay while the sun shines, right?
Yeah. So they'd stop, and they'd have a sandwich or cake or whatever, and then work until dark.
Well, cool. We pretty much covered all these questions here. Do you have anything that you remember about food or feeding yourselves that you think would be like something you'd like to tell me?
I tell you, first time I had a cook for a family, I was 11 years old. I never had a cook. My aunt and uncle and 5 of their kids come to visit. New Year's Day. My folks had gone to other uncle. So here I was. Supper time. What am I going to do? So I says to my brother Joe, what are we going to do? Oh, he said, know how to fry potatoes? Yes, I know how to do that. He said, okay, well, make fried potatoes, sausage, and he said, we'll get some beans. And then Mom had baked the day before. So here 3 times I had to make sausage to have enough sausage. Well, I never had it, And I said, twice potatoes. I fried potatoes twice and stuff like that. But they ate all the bread that we had. And I said, well, come time to go to bed. I sat and I cried and I cried. What was I going to do? Tomorrow we have to go to school. There's 4 of us that have to go to school, and there's no bread for our lunch. Now what? So Mom comes home and stuff like that. Now what's wrong? Why aren't you in bed? So I told them. Uncle Joe and Aunt Mary came, and this one of the boys was with them, that one of the girls, and just named them all down, stuff like that. And they stayed for supper. Oh, that wasn't so bad, you know. But I said, there's no bread for tomorrow.
Food was really important.
You know, we didn't go home for lunch. We didn't waste. There was never, you know, if you couldn't eat a whole slice of bread, don't take it. They would tell you, you need half one. If you can have the other half, we'll give you the other half. But you never wasted. I can never remember anything getting moldy or spoiled. Same way with me when I grew up, you know, having the kids on the farm. There was never, you know.
And you never really went without. I mean,
No. Because, you know, all Mom would say is, if you have beans and you have potatoes, you know, and eggs, she said, you'll be okay. And look at how many things you can make. And how many different types of potatoes you can make them so many different ways. Stuff like that. So, no problem. No.
so any last, like, more stories? Any more great food stories for me?
Food stories.
You must have made your own butter, right?
See, and we knew the cow that was for the house, stuff like that, was gonna, you know, be dry and stuff like that. So we took, I'd say, the first part of October, all of November. We'd take the cream and you'd make butter and you'd freeze it so that you'd have all the way through Christmas, because we knew after Christmas the fresh cow would be there, you know, and we knew we had to leave her set for 2 weeks, stuff like that. So you would milk up until then, and then, but I mean,
It's kind of cool. So you had a house cow?
yeah, we called her house cow. You know, the milk was, I mean, we knew she had given us good milk all along and stuff like that.
So was she kept separate from the rest of the herd?
Uh-uh.
But you just milked that particular one for your own use?
Yeah,
Well, that's kind of cool.
See, so you knew, well, like I said, if any of the other ones would have had mastitis or something like that, you sure as heck didn't want anybody to be drinking. So that one was just cured a little special. Her
So
name
did
was
you
Nancy.
have, her name was what?
Nancy.
So how about other animals? Like, did you have a dog out there and cats and?
Dogs and cats and 2 horses. But I mean, it's not, the older ones did the stuff with the horses, but
You didn't
Pig.
like ride or anything?
no. Anyway, pigs galore, you know. No.
Well, it kind of sounds like fun. Was it fun living out there on
I
the
thought
farm?
so. See, the nice part was in the winter months when we finally had snow, we'd hurry up and go home and do our chores, we'd eat supper, and then if we had homework, well, that we knew that had to come first. But then we could go sledding.
In the dark?
Yeah. And they didn't hesitate for us to go out, you know, on the hills and sled. That was just a real neat thing to do. Bundle up and go and in school already we had told some of the neighbor kids, if you know, if it's nice, we're going to go sledding, and this is the hill. And I said, I think all they had to do was go out the door so you could hear us scream.
Yeah, sound carries in the wintertime in the cold. So,
Yeah.
do you remember? Tell me a little about the weather. You know, like, do you remember the weather being the same?
Well, I just know, like I said, when it snowed, we couldn't leave the house after November 1st without a cap and gloves and our boots. Even if there wasn't any snow on the ground. That was, you know, a must. Oh, and then I know if it thawed by Good Friday, Holy Week, as we called it, Holy Week, we could drive to church and stuff like that. But if it wasn't, you know, we had to walk, you know, if you wanted to go to church then. But I said, and the roads, I guess they just didn't bother as far as, you know, you go somewhere with the sled and the horses, and didn't think too much of it, you know. But I know, like I said, November 1st, that was a thing he instilled in us. You don't leave the house without a pair of mittens, a hat,